Good. Caitlin, if you would record, that'd be terrific. Thank you. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Jeannie Alter. I'm the Executive Director of the American School Health Association. We're so glad that you're joining us today. I just want to share a little bit about who we are, and then we'll get right into the exciting partnership that we are a part of. And we have a couple of our partners here to tell you a little bit more about that. So 1 minute while I advance the slides here. All right, so the American School Health Association is a professional association. We are a multidisciplinary organization, and our mission is to transform all schools into places where every student learns and thrives. And we do that by envisioning healthy students who learn and achieve in safe and healthy environments, nurtured by caring adults like yourself, and functioning within a coordinated school and community support system. So that really, I think, embodies our approach to working together. And I think that this partnership is a really good example of that. So just a little bit about us. As I mentioned, we're a multidisciplinary organization. So we are made up of health educators, physical educators, counselors, nurses, all folks who are working with children and students and have an interest in their health and well-being. Some of the benefits of membership involve our Journal of School Health, which is our peer-reviewed journal. I hope you all have had an opportunity to look through that at some point. If you are not yet a member, you will, as a member, you get that in print or online. Continuing education. So for things like this webinar today, you would receive free continuing education, but that also includes for our webinar series, which we've just posted some of those for 2020. So please take a look at that on our website. Josh Self-Studies, and also our annual conference, which is in Albuquerque this year in September. We also have some discounts on things like select American Academy of Pediatric publications through a partnership with them, which we very much appreciate. A discount on a membership to the Sex Ed Network, and also discounts for job postings on our Career Center. And just to note, we have recently added to our Career Center and added a free area for internships. So if you are looking for an internship or if you are looking for an intern, you can post there as well. Also, membership gets you access to all the latest in school health through our conference, our bi-weekly newsletter, just the network of folks that are involved with ASHA and our partners as well. So please think about that. We'd love to have you as a member. As I mentioned, our conference is coming up September 30th through October 2nd in Albuquerque, right before the Balloon Fiesta, so it should be a wonderful time. Our call for abstracts is open until March 9th, so if you are interested in attending, I know some of you, it makes it, you're able to get financial support to attend if you're a presenter, so consider submitting an abstract. Please just visit our website. You can find that under the events tab. So why we're here today, I wanted to share a little bit with you about a project that ASHA has been partnering with some other folks with, some other wonderful organizations called Shine Light on Depression. And so we're going to talk more about that today. And I'm really thankful that you all are here and interested in this topic because the need is great. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about the need. We're going to also talk about who we're collaborating with. We're going to take a tour through the web-based toolkit, get into a little deeper dive into the specifics of the toolkit and what that has to offer, a call to action to spread the word about this wonderful toolkit, and then some opportunity for some Q&A. I wanted to remind you, you can put any questions or comments into that chat box and we'll circle back. We'll get to those questions at the end. So please know that we will get to those as best we can. So that's where we're headed this afternoon. So as all of you know, the reason why you all are here today is because you understand that there is great need among our nation's youth. Right? We have increased rates of depression, thoughts of suicide, and self-harm, and it's something that we need to act on quickly. By way of a little bit of data here, anxiety and depression top the list of problems that teens see among their peers. And some of you may work in schools, you may see this, you may be a nurse and have students coming in and complaining of things that are related to anxiety and depression. It may be fatigue, it may be stomach issues, it may be headaches, right, that they're presenting with, but that are a symptom of anxiety and depression. We also know that suicide rates among young people are rising and reaching the highest levels since 2000, which is extremely concerning, and that suicide is the second leading cause of death among youth. So this is really what spurred us to action to address this very important issue. So a little bit about Shine Light on Depression. Shine Light on Depression is a web-based toolkit for school communities with free, ready-to-use resources to help raise awareness of depression and prevent suicide among youth. And you can see at the bottom of the screen the website, shinelightondepression.org, where this toolkit is housed. And it's all, as I said, free, ready to use. And we just need to spread the word that it's available for you all to utilize within your school and community. So just a little bit about our collaborating organizations. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to our partners. So the American School Health Association has partnered with Anthem, and they are our funding partner and have done a wonderful job of pulling together all these wonderful partners and coordinating the efforts. Also, we have Erika's Lighthouse, a beacon of hope for adolescent depression. They've been a kind of a central figure in this. You'll see and hear from them about Erika's Lighthouse and the program that they offer and how they fit into Shine Light on Depression. We also want to thank our corporate partner, JetBlue Airways, for their participation, and then also National PTA, who you'll also hear from about their parent or community portion of this toolkit. So we are all working together to make this really important toolkit available and accessible to those who need it. And as we saw in the previous slides, the need is great. So I'm going to pass this over to our partner from Erika's Lighthouse, Ilana Sherman. I'm going to give her an opportunity to kind of take you on a bit of a tour of the toolkit and do a little bit of a deep dive into what the toolkit has to offer. So take it away, Ilana.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we go. Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for having me today. Just going backwards here. Okay. So my name is Ilana Sherman. I'm the Director of Education with Erika's Lighthouse. And just a little bit about Erika's Lighthouse. We are a national nonprofit organization, and we were founded in 2004. So about 15 years ago, 16 years ago, after the loss of a 14-year-old named Erika, who died from her depression. So this was the second suicide in the community in that same school year. We really focus on depression awareness, stigma reduction, and empowering young people to take charge of their mental health. All of our programs are provided at no cost to middle and high schools, as well as parents, caregivers, other mental health professionals, educators. And our goal really is to give you, the educators, tools to create meaningful discussions about depression. And we want you to educate your students. We want you to get educated. We want you to educate your parents, the caregivers. We're a Tier 1 early intervention, early identification program. And we know that by speaking to a broader audience, we speak to the kids that might not really come onto the radar of the school mental health professionals. And this is why we're here. There we go, sorry. So right now we track our impact each school year by the number of schools as well as the number of students reached. And we're currently in the process of working to determine better ways to get more evaluation data from the students themselves regarding knowledge gained and help-seeking behavior, stigma reduction. Our programs are evidence-informed, based in depression literacy. Independent pilot studies have been done on our current middle school program as well as our original high school program by Dr. Kelly out of Loyola University Chicago School of Social Work. And you can see some numbers up here, and these have actually changed as of about 2 days ago. So as of a couple of days ago, we're actually now having reached over 184,000 teens this school year in 445 schools. So we're really proud of the work that we do here, and we know that it's, you know, as you saw on the screens before, in the slides before, it's really necessary. So why depression education? Why not a traditional suicide prevention approach? What we learned from Erika's friends 15 years ago is that these kids didn't really want to sit in a classroom and learn, you know, simply about the signs of suicide. It wouldn't have resonated with them. They would have never guessed that their friend, Erika, might have taken her life. They wanted to know, though, how someone got there in the first place. Was this common? You know, was it treatable? Is it treatable? So we focused on depression education from the get-go. And because depression is the #1 risk factor to suicide, general depression education really touches a much larger population of students. Suicide itself is actually quite rare. For every teen suicide, there are about 1 to 200 attempts. And for every attempt, there are about 500 other kids struggling with depression. We don't know who's going to attempt suicide and who's not. So depression education really captures all of those students. Building a vocabulary, creating conversations really reduces stigma and builds a climate of positive mental health in the school. And depression, you know, we know can account for many of the issues that impact a student's ability to learn and perform every day at school, whether it be attendance issues, behavioral concerns. So Erika's Lighthouse comes from a place of positivity and hope. The authenticity of hearing from real and diverse teens, we find breaks down the stigma of mental health and allows teens to talk openly about depression and about mental health. Through our programs and resources, we really hope to empower educators to create healthy environments that encourage positive mental health. We want teens to be empowered to take charge of their mental health and learn the skills to seek out help and speak up and ask for help if they need it. We do not use screeners. We teach our educators how to intervene. We give them the language to intervene. We use self-referral cards to help teens find their voice, to anonymously reach out and say, hey, I think I need to talk to someone, whether it's right after a program, whether it's a month later, a year later. Our programs are delivered in a really, really accessible way that anyone can understand. All of our resources are easy to download and they are completely free, no cost. Our messages are always positive, never fear-based, never dark, sensational. They're really from the heart and they focus on good mental health. So even if you're not going through depression or the teen that's learning this is not going through depression, they can also learn those good coping skills or ways to take care of their mental health. So in partnership with Karen Guidance, we are currently undergoing some updates within our middle and high school programming to create even a stronger skill progression, focusing on the National Health Education Standard #3, accessing information. I'm going to go back there, sorry. Accessing information. The revision is also going to include some performance assessments to assess knowledge and skill gain. So we're going to now take a closer look at the middle and high school programs, the classroom programs. And as was mentioned before, these can be accessed through the shinelightondepression.org website. And you can then access the Erika's Lighthouse classroom programs through the Shine Light on Depression site and get the information that you need, create an account, and you'll have access to everything. Sorry, guys. Okay. I apologize here. The Middle School Program Facilitators Guide is available to all educators and mental health professionals. Whenever you create an account through Erika's Lighthouse, you'll get access to this facilitator guide in the middle school program as well as the high school program. And this guide gives you all the information you need to teach this program and share it with your students. So the middle school program introduces depression and strategies for good mental health. There are 3 45-minute lessons. The first lesson includes our 18-minute video, which we really find to be like the main part of our middle school program. We have Spanish subtitles in all of our videos, as well as closed captioning available. The first lesson talks about understanding teen depression, what depression feels like, the signs and symptoms. Lesson 2 delves into helping yourself and someone else, treatment, what does it look like? What are some of the barriers to treatment? Talking a little about stigma. And we give kids really a vocabulary to be able to reach out for help. And then lesson 3 talks about good mental health for everyone. You know, our goal is to get this in front of as many students as we can, get this in front of as many kids as we can. So this is a very flexible program. Some schools we work with use all 3 programs in one grade level. Some schools take each lesson and put it in, let's say in a traditional middle school in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Some schools have only time for 1 lesson. And if that were the case with you, we always recommend lesson 1 with the video. If you have only, say, 40 minutes, this is still doable. If you have 50 minutes, it's doable. Another thing, you know, is that we are here for you. We give a lot of educator support, and we are able to help you determine the best way to implement this program into your school. Everything is there for you. Everything is ready for you. And we're here for you. So you can see here that our student bookmark, it's a recommended handout at the end of lesson 1. It has the signs and symptoms of teen depression on one side, and you can see some good mental health tips on the other side. On your screen, on the signs and symptoms side, you can see there's a blank area for the students to write down the name of someone in their school building to help. And that's a really good sort of skill building way of learning who can help in their school, how to find out that help. Again, we're sort of going back to that skills progression of accessing information, valid and reliable resources, so they can write down who they can go to for help, who they can go to if they have a question, or teachers can add that in ahead of time, make copies for all the students if they choose to. Here's our self-referral cards. And the idea of this is to be able to reach out for help if they would like to talk to someone. We always, you know, make sure with our teachers, with our educators, with our mental health professionals who are bringing this program into their school, that it's important for you to meet with the school staff prior to implementation, just to make sure that there is support for when you teach this. We don't recommend you using the self-referral cards and then, you know, if you have a lot of students that want to talk to someone within 24 hours and you don't have support, you know, that wouldn't be a good outcome. So we really encourage you to talk with your school staff, make sure there's going to be a support. Best practice shows to teach this on that kind of day, extra support, not at the end of a school day, not on a Friday. And again, this is really encouraging students to find their voice and be able to reach out for help. These self-referral cards, everybody in the classroom, if a teacher uses them, everybody needs to fill something out. So even if they don't want to talk to anyone, every student is filling it out. So it ends up being anonymous in that no student knows who is asking for help. Okay, so let's look a little at the high school program, which is going to be very similar, you'll see, to the middle school program. Again, there are 3 45-minute lessons, and this takes just a little deeper look at depression. Also talks a little about suicide and explores some strategies for good mental health. And again, everything is written out for you. Everything is ready at the click of a button. You can see here some of the topics of the three lessons, which are very similar to the middle school program. So in our videos that we have in lesson 1 for middle and high school, you would be introduced to 6 teens from really diverse backgrounds and life experiences, from wealthy backgrounds, not so wealthy backgrounds, one, facing community violence, one talking about his experience immigrating from Mexico, one talking about gender identity. We learned from our school partners that they wanted more small group work, critical thinking, exercises, and talking about how they can really change the culture in their school building. And this program includes that. So again, in addition to just learning about the basics of depression literacy, we're focusing on creating empathy for individuals going through depression or anxiety, lots of stress. And we delve into some deeper issues like suicide and self-harm and bullying. A lot of schools use this program in 9th or 10th grades, and then they might begin to incorporate some of our teen empowerment, which you'll see on the next slide. We do this programming, our teen empowerment programming, through student clubs, often called teen clubs or teen empowerment clubs as well, student teen empowerment clubs. So we know that peer-driven awareness and dialogue is a really, really powerful tool and can be one of the best ways to bust, the stigma surrounding depression and mental health. When teens highlight the importance of learning and talking about mental health, it really demonstrates that there's nothing to be ashamed of. And other kids that, again, mental health professionals, they might not be on the radar of mental health professionals, can really come out and say, hey, this is something I want to talk about, or I need to talk to someone. These clubs give students not only, a way to learn about depression, but really make a difference in their school, become leadership, have leadership roles, and really be able to educate, empower, and eliminate stigma. This is not a support group. This is not the depressed kids group. It's really the positive mental health group in the school, with really great leadership roles and really, finding fun ways to spread positivity and kindness around the school, and really allowing for creativity among the students. It's a really fun thing to do in the school. So lastly, a little heads up that we also have an amazing resource for parents and caregivers, our Erika's Lighthouse Parent Handbook on Childhood and Teen Depression. It's very unique. There's really nothing like it on the market. It's completely free. It can be downloaded for free. So you can put it on a website, you can put it on your school website, or send it out to your parents. And it's a parent-to-parent guide written by parents for parents. It really contains practical advice on depression, how to deal with it, basic information about depression. And it's pretty simply written, probably could be read in about an hour. It was just translated into Spanish as well. So before I turn over the webinar to National PTO, I just want to emphasize again that here at Erika's Lighthouse, we are here for you. We have educator support materials, we have training webinars on the videos. So once you create an account and get access to everything, you will have all the information for the middle school program, high school program, depression awareness campaign materials, parent resources as well. So be sure to visit that shinelightondepression.org website and create an account for the materials. So thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Amy.
Thank you so much, Ilana. Hi, everybody. I'm Amy Sheldon, and I'm the Director of Resource Development here at National PTA. Just some quick background about us. National PTA, or the National Parent Teacher Association, is a membership association with over 20,000 local, primarily school-based PTAs around the country. And we have more than 3.5 million members, and that includes parents, teachers, administrators, grandparents, community members, and others that are stakeholders in schools and school communities. Our mission is to help every child reach their full potential by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. We often say that PTA sits at that unique intersection of home, school, and community. We know that parents are a child's first and primary teacher, and parents are critical stakeholders in their child's educational success. Family engagement is at the core to PTA's work. You may already be familiar with the decades of research that shows that family engagement matters for student success. Family engagement makes a difference for students who have engaged families. They're more likely to attend school, they're more likely to avoid discipline problems, to achieve at high levels, and to graduate. National PTA is really excited to be part of Shine Light on Depression and this collaboration, because health and safety has been a pinnacle of our programmatic work for over 100 years. And that number is true. We're almost 125 years old as an association. PTA created the family workshops to provide tools to parent groups and parent leaders to facilitate family conversations about mental health and supports for our kids. We need informed and empowered families to be at the table on this issue. Our intent is that the conversations initiated from Shine Light on Depression both support and strengthen the outcomes from the classroom-based learning that teens will be experiencing with the Erika's Lighthouse curriculum that Ilana just reviewed. Next slide, please. So the materials you'll find on the website include 2 workshop guides designed for parent volunteers to plan, implement, and facilitate 2 convenings of parents and professionals to talk about mental health and depression. One workshop focuses the conversation broadly on mental health awareness and understanding. And a second workshop is focused more specifically on finding resources and supports for your child. I do want to note here that staff from National PTA is available to provide support to your PTA or parent group on successfully implementing a workshop. So if you have a volunteer leader that would benefit from phone support, beyond the facilitator's guide and what's included in there, please encourage him or her to reach out to us. Next slide, please. PTA created these workshop guides leveraging our years of creating materials for parent volunteers. The facilitator's guide is designed to be out-of-the-box ready. Step-by-step guidance and tips needed for volunteers to implement a successful convening. There are recommendations for inviting experts and speakers, suggested discussion questions and relevant handouts, as well as information about creating a welcoming environment, including information about eliminating barriers to participation by providing options like childcare or translation services. We know from our experience that the more barriers you can eliminate to participation, the better your outcome will be for your convening. Next slide, please. Building on PTA's expertise in convening families, the materials also provides ready-to-use sample outreach messages and sample invitation scripts to make the execution of workshops as easy as possible for your parent volunteers and encourage broad community participation. So we hope you'll take a look at some of the materials that are here and look through the Family School Community Conversation Facilitator's Guide and work with your school parent group or PTA to collaborate on hosting a workshop with your parents and families. We really do need parents at the table for these conversations, and we need them to be as informed as they can be. Thanks for all you're doing for your students and families. We really do look forward to hearing your feedback on these materials in the weeks and the months ahead. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Jeannie.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it so very much. Let me just do a little time check. All right. So I invite you all to spread the word about this toolkit. We really would like for anyone and everyone who is concerned about their students to have access to this toolkit. And to use it within their schools and communities and really work on, as I mentioned, we really take it very seriously that schools need to collaborate within the school and outside of the school building. So we really want to see that collaboration and cooperation between the school and community partnerships. So help spread the word, let people know about this toolkit. If you have the opportunity to share on social media, we'd welcome that. There'll be an opportunity at the end of this webinar for you to share with us a little bit of feedback about the toolkit and your likelihood of utilizing it. So I invite all of you to take a moment and post any questions in the chat box that you might have, and we will circle back to that and have a moment to chat. All right, so let me go back through here and post some of the questions to our partners. What middle school grades do you recommend for these lessons? Ilana, I'll pass that to you. Oh, you're muted. I gotcha. No, I don't. Okay.
Better?
Yes.
Okay. The program, thank you for the question. The program is really geared, when we say middle school, it's typically what we see 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Like I said, it's very flexible. Some 9th grade some high schools in 9th grade use the middle school program, and then in 10th grade use the high school program. We have 5th graders, using the middle school program as well. So it's, you know your school best. We never want to say, this is exactly what you should do. You know your students, you know your community, and so whatever feels right. And you might have other programs that you're using that you've utilized for years, other resources that work really well in your school. So, this can be a good complement to that. But again, we always recommend at least lesson 1. If you can do all 3, that's even better. But 6th, 7th, and 8th grade is typically what we would say, but it's flexible.
Great, thank you, great question. And a question from Bridget Clementi, nice to see your name. Are the lessons skills-based, and what outcomes other than outputs do you track?
Well, right now, as I mentioned, we're in the process right now of working to determine what other evaluation data that we're going to be collecting, outside of, the outputs, how many schools we're reaching, how many students we're reaching. So we're really looking at getting that student evaluation data as to, how much, not only just knowledge gained, but behavioral changes, help-seeking behavior. And like I mentioned, we're currently also, part of that is we're working with Care and Guidance right now and talking a lot about skills progression, and we are updating our middle school program and our high school program first and our middle school program. The high school program should be updated by next school year to really include more skills-based health education and talk about that accessing information at valid and reliable health, and giving students a chance to practice that, giving teachers a chance to role model that. And
terrific. Great question. And I think you're moving in the right direction. Care and Guidance is wonderful, so yeah. Great hands. And Bridget also asked if this will be sent out. So we'll send out an email to all of the participants with a link to this recording. So yes, we'll make that available to you. Let's see. Are high schools members of National PTA? Amy, do you want to take that one?
I sure will. Thank you for that question. It depends on the school. So we have PTA, elementary, middle, and high school, but it depends on how your school parent group has organized. Some parent groups are PTAs and PTA affiliated, and some are not. Certainly these materials are for any parent leader or parent group. You don't have to be a PTA to access them. And we would love your high school parent group to be a part of our PTA if they're not already. So if anybody is interested in that and wanting to have that conversation further, I'd be happy to have that.
Great, thank you. And just a comment that that Angela would really liked the focus to be on depression and more broad than just suicide. So that's wonderful. Thank you for that feedback. Ilana, could you talk about how a school went about setting up the Positive Mental Health Club?
Sure. They can really reach out to me. So when you go to the shinelightondepression.org website and then you'll get to the Erika's Lighthouse information and the Erika's Lighthouse website. You're going to create an account. And when you create that account, you mark down sort of what you're interested in, middle school program, high school program, teen club, and we get that information on the back end, and then we reach out to you in a timely manner and say we would love to talk with you about setting up a teen club. So I don't run the teen clubs, but I help to set them up and help the teachers and the educators or the mental health professionals, whoever's doing it in the school. So I would probably be your contact person.
Great. From your experience, Ilana, are there some common barriers that you see in getting those set up?
Sometimes, it could just be the logistics of finding a sponsor, finding someone who is willing to take on that club. A lot of times we get interest actually from the students themselves. We get students creating accounts, and then we reach out to the students saying, hey, do you have, is there an educator, a coach, an advisor, someone in your school, a counselor that might want to help out with this? I was at a teen club in a Chicago public school the other day, and it was the art teacher and the social studies teacher, so it's not always the social worker and the counselor or the health teacher, which are a lot of the contacts we work with. So the barrier could be, the lack of having someone available. It could be lack of interest by students, but sometimes that takes a little time. And we know that peer-to-peer encouragement, once students see, wow, that looks sort of fun, and see what the club is doing, they get more people involved. And I think, there's always that barrier of stigma, and people don't realize, they might hear Erika's Lighthouse, isn't that the depression? We don't want them to think it's a depression support group. There's nothing wrong with that, but this club is really more of the positive mental health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's terrific. And I think in terms of stigma reduction, that's going to be key.
Yep.
Oh, wonderful. Any other questions or comments from you all? All right, well, let me give you a moment to think about that and see if you have any more questions or comments. But let me just take a moment to let you all know about continuing education for this webinar. We have one continuing education hour eligible for CHES or MCHES through NCHEC, ABCXYZ, if we need any more acronyms there. Also NAPNAP, if you are looking for nursing units, and IC and RC if you are a certified prevention specialist. You can also get a participation certificate if you have another entity, if maybe you're a social worker or a counselor and you would like to submit that to your credentialing body. We have that available as well. As I said before, we have members receive free continuing education credits, and you can obtain that through completing the webinar evaluation. And Caitlin will put that in the chat box for you. In a moment. There it is. Thank you, Caitlin. So for any of you who would like to receive continuing education for today, please put that in there. I love it. So just to interrupt myself, I feel like this is really important. Bridget noted that her teenage son is listening with her today, which I can't believe she has a teenager. Seriously, Bridget. And he wanted to remind us that clubs need to be positive and supportive in nature rather than something that would be labeling to students, right? And I think that, Ilana, was something that you were kind of hinting at there, that coming at it from the positive space, that it's not necessarily that this is a group for students who are depressed or students who are considering suicide, but it is for everyone. So awesome. Thank you for that from your son, Bridget. I appreciate that. Okay, so just wanted to fill you in on a couple of upcoming webinars that we have. We have one coming up next Tuesday, which is very late breaking. As you all know, we're having a little coronavirus thing right now. And so Asha is having a webinar to talk about how a school can plan for the coronavirus. Also updated national sex ed standards on April 8th. So, please check that out if you're interested. Also, the Health Education Specialist Practice Analysis, or HESPA 2, on May 21st. And in July, we're going to have a WISC model from framework to practical application. We'll be also posting the remainder of the year coming up here soon. So please take a moment to check that out. Always some great opportunities to get some quick and accessible learning, especially if you are in need of continuing education. So please feel free to check that out. Just wanted to remind you again about our conference and on how to get a hold of us. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to sing out to us. And I'm going to go back to the chat box and see what else we have here. Larry Olson said it would be good for as many of us as possible to get to local PTA meetings, to bring resources such as this to the attention of the PTA and maybe even the school board members. I agree. And I would also add to that, if your school has a school health council or a school wellness council, to make that, bring that forward to them as well. Amy, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks so much for that comment. We will be also sharing this with the PTA network, obviously to our state level PTAs and then all of our local PTAs as well. But as you all know, PTA is run by volunteers at the local level, and so they get a lot of information coming at them, not just from us, but from their communities and their schools and their principals. So having you all in the field, attending PTA meetings or reaching out to your PTA is an excellent reinforcement. We would love that. I think having multiple messages helps make sure that this becomes a high priority in a loud conversation from lots of different places. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's a great point too, because for example, being in this field, I'm able to speak up as a member of the school health field, but also as a parent to a second grader. So I kind of have vested interest in this, and I'm coming from kind of two different places as well. So, or reinforcing places. So that's great. Any other questions, comments before we part ways? Okay. Well, I want to thank Amy and Ilana for being with us today. I want to thank all of our partners for being a part of this really great initiative. And we are going to be out and about at conferences promoting the toolkit. So we hope to see you all at National PTA Conference, National Association of School Nurses. Oh my gosh, we'll be everywhere. So please come chat with us if you happen to be at one of those conferences. We'd love to talk to you about it more. Final question, Michael asks, any chance you can include anxiety more? Ilana, do you have any plans for kind of expanding in that area?
Sure, thanks. We are part of our work with our updating work right now is we are looking at ways to include sort of more of the stress and anxiety approach. And, that's a big, not only are they big buzzwords right now, but obviously they're true, and we're seeing that, and we're seeing it a lot at the younger ages. So we are really looking at even, some more of the sort of social emotional side of it and adding that into our resources. So that is definitely on the top of our desks right now of things we're talking about.
Terrific, great. And I love when we get these kinds of questions and suggestions for enhancement. So thank you, Michael. Well, thank you all for your time today. Thank you so much for being with us. And thank you to our partners. Please take a moment to visit the website, dig in a little bit, kind of see what there is to offer. And thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you in Albuquerque for our conference. You all take care. Thanks, everybody.